just sent it to him.
And we're live, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, everyone, to this March 8th, 2021 Special Council meeting of the Town of Lincoln. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Easton, the Mayor of the Town of Lincoln and Chair of today's Special Council meeting. We're meeting electronically through Zoom during this declared emergency period. Members of the public may observe the proceedings by accessing the live webcast on our YouTube channel. The Shannonton people have called these lands home for thousands of years, and more recently, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee have been sharing the land as one dish, one spoon treaty territory. We would like to acknowledge the enduring resilience of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who call this territory home. I will ask our town clerk to complete a roll call of the council so that we can confirm everyone's attendance as we are holding this meeting electronically today and to confirm quorum. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Present.
Councillor Rajima,
Here.
Councillor Russell,
Here.
Councillor Pachariva,
Here.
Councillor Brunet,
Here.
Councillor McPherson,
Here.
Councillor Miklick,
Here.
Councillor Timmers,
Here.
and Councillor Reimer.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. In addition, I want to take a moment to welcome the staff that we have joining us today electronically. Chief Administrative Officer Mike Kirkopoulos, Director Finance Administration and Innovation Lawrence Wagner, Director of Special Projects Kathleen Dale, Director of Planning and Development Matt Bruder, Director of Community Services Shannon Mackay, Fire Chief Greg Hudson, Director of Economic Development and Communications Paul Gianni, Director of Public Works Dave Graham, Deputy Clerk Devan Kripp. And the IT staff who are in attendance are Matt Guadagnolo. Moderating and clerking the meeting today, we have our clerk, Julie Kirkelos, and also joining us this evening, Regional Councillor Foster from the Niagara region. As this is a virtual meeting, I will ask that we follow some procedures. Should there be a connection or service disruption for the chair, or if quorum is lost, the chair and/or clerk will call a 10-minute recess to reconnect and to regain quorum. If quorum is lost, the meeting will be adjourned. If connection is lost for the chair, deputy mayor or the vice chair will resume the meeting. Once reconnection is achieved, the chair will assume their role. Each member of council who wishes to speak, please press the raise hand feature on your video call. The clerk will track the order of our speakers list today and then invite you to speak when I open it for comments or questions. Also, when I finish reading a motion and announcing the mover and seconder, the clerk will then call out the vote by reading each member of councilor's name out loud. Please remember to take yourselves off mute during this portion of the meeting so that you can confirm if you are in support or opposed. Also, when not speaking, please remember to put yourselves on mute. Are there any declarations of interest?
Madam Mayor, we have some hands up, and we will begin with Councillor Reimer.
Thank you. Councillor Reimer?
Thank you, Mayor Easton. It's a reiteration from our committee of the whole meeting. Item on tonight's agenda, item 15.1 regarding bylaw 2021-16 and item 15.2 regarding bylaw 2020-17. The applicant is a customer of the company that I work for. Thank you, Mayor Easton.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And Madam Clerk, I see Councillor Rajima.
Yes.
Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mine is also a reiteration, and it's agenda item 11.1, being the Committee of the Whole minutes of March 1st, 2021. The general nature of the interest declared is that the applicant under confidential report PD 1521 is a client of my employer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next item on the agenda is announcements by members. So I'll open the floor to announcements. Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Do members have announcements? Madam Clerk.
We have Counselor Miklick's hand up.
Councillor Miklick, please go ahead.
My apologies. I had my hands up earlier. I just, I wanted to reiterate a conflict of interest or with regards to item 11.1, a reiteration, any discussion regarding the Jordan improvement project.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. And
Thank you.
So I'll just ask again if there are any announcements, and I believe, Madam Clerk, I see Councillor McPherson. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I thought Councillor Miklick was going to make the announcement, but just to let all of council and those in the audience know that Councillor Miklick and I will be hosting a virtual town hall meeting tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. We're going to run 7 o'clock to 8:30. Registration, you can register through the Town of Lincoln website with the revolving picture of Councillor Miklick and I. Press on that and you will get through to registration, or go to any social media of the Town of Lincoln, and you will find the opportunity to register. So we're really looking forward to bringing the residents of Ward 3 up to date on many of the things going on in Ward 3 and several other things that are of interest that are happening across the Town of Lincoln. So again, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, virtual town hall meeting. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Councillor McPherson. Councillor Miklick. I don't see any other hands, Madam Clerk.
No.
We're now considering item 6.1, Council, the special council minutes of February the 8th, 2021. Do members of council have any questions or comments?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachuriva and seconded by Councillor Benjima. The council approved the minutes of the following meetings of council, special council minutes of February the 8th, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you, Counselor Brunei,
Yes.
Counselor McPherson,
Yes.
Counselor Miklick,
Yes.
Counselor Pachuriva,
Yes.
Counselor Reimer,
Yes.
Counselor Rajima,
Yes.
Counselor Russell,
Yes.
Counselor Timmers. Counselor Timmers? Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. And Mayor Easton?
Support.
Thank you. That carries.
Thank you very much. Councilors, we have no delegations this evening. We have no correspondence this evening. However, we do have a presentation from Debbie Zimmerman, who is the Life in Every Moment campaign co-chair in regard to supporting the McNally House Hospice. And also joining Debbie are two representatives, Pamela Blackwood and Murray Bain. I'm looking for Debbie. I see Pamela. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Mayor Easton.
Welcome all of you. Debbie,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor Easton and members of council so much for having us this evening. I wish I could be there in person to see you all. I'm sure you've heard that many times, but it's for those I can see. Certainly, thank you very much for having us. I was going to flip.
You have 10 minutes, Debbie.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mary Easton. I'm going to flip this over to Murray to get started, and Pam to maybe do a bit of an introduction of the presentation tonight, and we'll be quick.
Okay, Murray, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Welcome. Thanks so much for having us. I believe we have a PowerPoint presentation. If we could start to share that, that would be awesome.
Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes.
I can see it, yes.
Okay, so you can just tell me when to move to the next slide. That would be great.
Okay, great. Well, again, thank you very much for having us this evening and for giving us the opportunity to share with you. The next slide is our agenda for the evening, which I will briefly go through. Again, Debbie and myself are co-chairs of our capital campaign. We're also both board members of McNally House, and Pam Blackwood is our executive director. What we hope to accomplish this evening is to just share a little update pertaining to McNally House and what we're up to. We want to talk about Niagara's Hospice Care Challenge, our expansion plans, the project status where we're at presently, our capital campaign, and our request of Lincoln Council. Next slide, please. Pam, I think you'll lead us through the next two slides.
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. It's certainly a privilege to be here tonight. I'm sure most of you know who and what McNally House Hospice is, but I will just give a brief overview just in case somebody doesn't know. So McNally House Hospice opened in 2008. So we're just about to celebrate our 13th anniversary. We're a residential hospice where we provide end-of-life care to residents of West Niagara. It's 24-hour specialized care, free of charge to each one of our residents. And we support both the patient and the family. For every resident that we care for, there's usually about 5 family members that we support as well. So our 6 beds, like I said, are in private rooms with 24/7 nursing and personal support staff supporting them. Pre-COVID, we had about 160 volunteers providing care and companionship to our residents. Currently, we have about 25 volunteers that are braving our lockdowns and supporting us through preparing our meals and reception and bedside companionship for our residents that are able to meet with them. So since we opened 13 years ago, 1,100 people have been through the residential portion of the hospice. And again, about 5 family members for each one of those 1,100 members, family members that we've supported as well. So hospice palliative care is all about managing the pain, fear, anxiety, sorrow of bereavement, and both pre-death and post-death of our support. So we have psychospiritual support programs, which supports the family and the resident when they've been diagnosed with a life-limiting illness and supporting them through the process. And then we have a very robust bereavement program that supports the family members, not only those who are at the hospice, but all people in our community we support through our bereavement programs. You'll know that we're located on the same campus as West Lincoln Memorial Hospital and Deer Park Villa Nursing Home. We have some incredible partnerships throughout the community, but of note is our partnership with the Niagara West Palliative Care Team and West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. We actually share our staffing, our bereavement clinician and our psychospiritual clinician are shared within the community, within the hospital, and within the hospice, which makes it a very unique partnership for hospice palliative care. But the continuum of care is incredible that we can support people with the Niagara West Palliative Care Team out in the community and in the hospital, and then as well support them with psychospiritual supports and bereavement supports, both out in the community and then when they arrive in the hospice. We also have our incredible medical director, Dr. Denise Marshall, who leads the Niagara West Palliative Care Team and works with both the bereavement and psychospiritual clinicians.
Great, thanks, Pam. So Niagara's Healthcare Challenge. Since 2008, the needs of Niagara's palliative care system have certainly grown. McNally House is reaching capacity, and with Grimsby, Lincoln, and West Lincoln continuing to grow, the problem is only worsening. And Ontario's Auditor General recommends 7 to 10 hospice beds in a community for every 100,000 people. Currently, Niagara has 3 beds for 100,000 people. So in 2017, we began planning for expansion, and that was through a very generous commitment of $1 million from Blair McKeel. Next slide, please. And I think Debbie's going to talk to
Yes, and so why we're here tonight is to let you know what our plans are. So as Murray's mentioned and Pam, the existing six-bed hospice will be converted into an all-new day hospice. which is a transformative approach really to how we're treating hospice. Hospice is the whole person and their families. It's just not the individual that is dying, but it's all the elements that go with it. So the proposal is for a new 10-bed residential hospice that will be constructed, and that increases our residential care capacity by almost 70%. So as Pam mentioned, this campus of care is what we're really taking advantage of. The fact that we have a rebuild with West Lincoln Memorial, we have a seniors facility supported by the region, Deer Park Villa, and of course, then the expansion of McNally House, which will complete that campus of care for our citizens. Next slide. So I think everybody's familiar with the site. Where the expansion will take place is right behind Deer Park Villa, just off of Linwood Avenue, which is the expansion of McNally House. So it'll be directly connected. So it's a residential property that has been purchased, and that was where the conversion will take place. Next slide, please. So it is, again, the campus of care and how we envision the growth. It is a hub of care covering the community from the beginning of life through the end of life. We'll be able to share gardens and landscaping, as well as physically connect to West Lincoln Memorial from McNally House, and also with connections to Deer Park Villa. So we are also working with Hamilton Health Science on this concept, which I think is going to be one of its kind in the province of Ontario and good for our community. So Murray, are you going to finish up here?
Yeah, sure. So, dying is really more than a medical event. It's an existential impact on the lives of not only a patient, but their family, friends, community. Nothing confronts us more than when we must confront dying. So our vision will see McNally House Hospice expand and transform our services with the inclusion of this new day hospice to provide desperately needed supports and care from the time as a person is first given a life-limiting diagnosis. So the day hospice really, it fills a real gap that exists from the time of diagnosis, when a life-limiting illness, right to the final days. It's generally a 2-year path from diagnosis, and this is a very difficult period, and there are few supports for those affected to get through this challenging time. And hospices across Ontario have added or are adding day hospices to fill this gap. In 2019, over 450 people used our hospice's psychological, spiritual, and bereavement support programs, and that really exceeds our current capacity. The new day hospice will transform our ability to provide these services, and we believe we'll be able to provide supports to hundreds more people per year, and provide the support to people to stay engaged or to re-engage in the many activities that give life its true meaning and its value. Debbie?
Well, this is I know we're anxious to get, because we've got a couple of minutes left to go to our ask, but the expansion is really, it's 4 additional beds to an all new 10-bed residential hospice. And so those features will also include, which I think are really important, is a suite for families and loved ones to be there overnight, a recreation room, some outdoor spaces, which we don't have now, a new memorial garden, and family spaces to really give that dignity and comfort for those who are by their side when they're dying. Next slide. So as I think everybody's familiar with, we've been working on land transfers from West Lincoln to Hamilton Health Sciences. With Hamilton Health Sciences, we've got an architect completing design, rezoning application is underway, and that planning for that campus of care. So fundraising consultants have been hired in 2019, and the early phase of the campaign has begun. COVID-19, of course, has put a damper on our plans to date. Murray?
So we in getting things started, we have our capital campaign co-chairs. We have several people on board to be on our cabinet. Our goal is $9.5 million. And as I mentioned earlier, we had a $1 million transformational gift from Blair McKeel. There's $800,000 from the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care that's pending, and that's $200,000 per bed for the 4 new beds. And then we're making requests to each of the municipalities in West Niagara, and the Niagara region request, and community funding. And Debbie, I'll let you lead.
Yeah, so our request of the town of Lincoln tonight is obviously our support for McNally House. And based on our 2016 census figure, we know that it's going to cost about $4.83 per resident over 5 years. And we're asking for $23,000 annually for the next 5 years for a total of $115,000. So that works out to less than $1 a resident. Sorry, that's my timer going off to know I'm on time. So $115,000 and less than $1 per year per resident is the way we've worked it out. So that is our ask of you tonight. We're happy to take questions, and thank you, Mary Easton and Council, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Debbie and Pamela, and also Murray. Very informative, and I think your timing is quite good, certainly outside the budget window, but still these projects go on for several years, so it's a good time for us to have this conversation. Members of council, do you have any questions of the presenters?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. We have Councillor Rajima up first.
Go ahead, Councillor Rajima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the presentation, everybody. I have two questions. One, you mentioned the figure that it's recommended that we have 7 beds per 100,000 people, and that we currently have 3 beds per 100,000 people in Niagara. So my first question is, what other hospices are there in Niagara? I know there's one on, I think it's at Lindwell in St. Catharines. And I'll just tell you my second question as well. I'm very interested in the services part of it. I know that it's really important to tie services to a geographical area so people know during these tough times that they're going through where those services are provided, because there's so much to think about when somebody's passing away and somebody's ill, that if you can just think in your mind, okay, I know where to go. I know where they are. I've heard about this. So one question is, where are the other beds? And the other question is, where do people currently access the kinds of services that McNally House wants to provide in the expansion?
Pam, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So currently there's Hospice Niagara in St. Catharines with 10 beds, and they are currently in plans to partner with a couple of long-term care homes, I believe in more of the Welland and Fort Erie areas, for 10 more beds in those 2 areas. So for West Niagara, we would be looking at expanding to 10 beds from the 6 beds. It's not only what is recommended, but it's actually more cost effective to run a 10-bed residential hospice than it is for a 6, just because of the ratio of care. As far as services, can you repeat what you were asking? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No, I think it's, in my mind, I think if I knew where the services were, there's so many services everywhere from different agencies, and some of us think we know, but then when you're under a lot of stress, you don't know all of us, and you don't know anything. So I like the idea of knowing, well, the campus idea, great. I mean, you can't argue, that's a great idea, and thank you for thinking in that way and for expanding, contributing to the expansion of that whole campus idea. But so, yeah, I like the idea of knowing where the services are. Where would somebody currently access the services that you're proposing to provide at the in your expanded facility?
Well, that is the challenge, is that there are very few services available to those in West Niagara. They have to go into Hamilton or into St. Catharines for support services. So we are looking to bring it home to our residents in West Niagara. This is everything we're looking at, from time of diagnosis to when they do arrive at McNally House. So our residents are arriving to us within the last 3 months of life. So there is much life to live prior to that. And that's not only services to support the patient in having group supports or day hospice programs where they can participate, but it's also supporting the family members. They're looking for supports and understanding. And one of the big pieces that day hospice can provide to those family members is not only peer-to-peer support of talking to others that are going through the same thing, but also education a lot of people are repatriated back to West Niagara from one of the hospitals, either in Hamilton or in St. Catharines, and kind of left on their own. There isn't any of those supports. So they're reaching out and looking for help. And we do have caregiver support programs right now. We're doing them virtually right now, but preferred to have them in person. And those programs are almost at maximum because we're holding them in the basement of the hospice, and we just don't have the capacity to support everyone that needs us at this point.
Yep. And then COVID makes things even more complicated, but great vision for the long term. So thank you. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And I see Councillor McPherson. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Debbie, Pamela, and Murray for the presentation tonight. And I just want to make a comment really about McNally House in that, I can't really say enough about the great care that McNally House provides to the community of West Niagara. It's just so many times, I've heard from people who have had family members come through McNally House, and just the level of compassion and care that those family members received was so heartwarming, and made things so much easier at a very, very difficult time of life. So, hats off to the 160 volunteers that you have, and to the board, that the work that is going on in that location is outstanding. And I guess if I had a question, my only question would be, as I understand it, you serve the communities of West Lincoln, Lincoln, and Grimsby.
Yes.
Is there a time that you take in other, I don't know what the right term is, patients or people to come into to McNally House?
Yes, there's kind of a discernment when we do have a bed available. We usually turn around a bed within about 24 hours. So we are tracking people in the community. We usually have about 75 to 80 people on a list of when it's their time they like to be considered for McNally House. So priority is given to those who live in West Niagara. But if there is a bed available and no one in West Niagara is in need of that bed or wants to wait at home a little bit longer, we will search out other people in adjoining communities. Often we see people from the Winona area or in the St. Catharines area that is seeking a bed from us, but primarily it would be West Niagara residents first.
Okay, good. Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair. Keep up the great work. We're very proud of the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And next I have Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Through you to the presenters, thank you so much for being here tonight. I think most of my questions were answered, but I certainly wanted to comment because McNally House is just such an important thing that we have in our community. And I personally have been touched by people who have been served by McNally House, and the amazing work that you do supporting people in our community is just so important. And I absolutely support this ask, and I'm very excited to hear that you're expanding. Our population is growing so much in our three communities, and definitely need some more beds. So thank you. I just want to say thank you again for what you do, and to all the volunteers and the board, and just wonderful to have you in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And Councillor Mikulik, you're next.
Councillor Brunet?
Oh, Councillor Brunet?
Yes.
All right, Councillor Brunet, my apologies. My eyes are playing tricks with me. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Debbie and Murray, congratulations on being co-chairs for this fundraising. $9.5 million, it's a very lofty goal, but there's no question in my mind that you guys will reach that. Pamela, to your team, Dr. Marshall, I'm glad that you made mention of her, because she has been so instrumental and everything around McNally House over the years. And I know our father would not have reached McNally House without the support of Dr. Marshall. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. This is the 3-year anniversary of when our father passed away at McNally House on March the 10th, 2018. Fully support the work that you guys are doing. And I really love the idea of the unified campus of care. That is just a tremendous vision, and one that I'm sure will go well to serving our community for decades as we move forward. Fully supportive of this. Good luck with the campaign. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And Councillor Mickle.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, through you to the presenters. Thank you for coming. Yeah, hospice is one of those things that so incredibly important at the toughest of times for folks in need. Question I have, with regards to the fundraising, and it's a lot of money, and wow, it's like there's a lot of asks going around this time of year with the new hospital, with this here, with the new school. I'm curious, the campaign goal is $9.5 million. What I'm curious about is what is the projected cost of the structure of the building, or has that been determined yet, or how?
Yes, certainly. That our budget is based on the design and the build and the square footage that is required to do that, and the retrofit of the existing residential hospice, 2-day hospice when it's completed. So yes, in those are all our costs all in, most of which is to the building.
Okay.
And I think we were really fortunate to get the $1 million to get started from McKeel Marine. That was a huge sort of support for us to begin the campaign.
I think that's an incredible amount of money and an incredible demonstration of a show of support as to just how important this is when an individual contributes a sizable amounts of $1 million. So anyways, that was my question as far as what the actual proposed cost of the structure was, and appreciate your response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I see no other hands, Madam Clerk. Councillors, this does conclude the presentation portion, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Timmers, that Council receive and file this information, the following presentation and delegation. That Council of the Town of Lincoln requests the provincial government to recognize and support the overall health of the Niagara community and end-of-life care required to alleviate the burden on hospitals. And that Council of the Town of Lincoln directs staff to report back on a financial contribution towards McNally House Hospice expansion commencing in 2022 to be funded over a 5-year period. Now, Madam Clerk, I just am looking to the mover and seconder for a minor amendment in the first paragraph to include, along with the provincial government, the regional government, and also that the CCs on the report as they go forward include our MPP and our MPP, as you would normally do. And if that is acceptable, that would fit in with a future report that Councillor Foster and I are aware will be coming forward to the region of Niagara. And so I think this paragraph is broad enough that it covers everything for both of the hospice centers in Niagara. Thank you. You would just confirm that.
That's confirmed,
Mayor,
Madam.
I've got no problem with that, and I saw Clerk Julie nodding her head as you were commenting, so I'm sure that has already been acknowledged. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll now ask our clerk call out the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton, and that carries.
Councillor, thank you very much, Debbie and Pamela and Murray, for your presentation. And the staff will bring back the report, but essentially it's on the road, and we'll have further discussions as time goes on.
Thank you very much for everyone for your support.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, we're on item number 10, a motion to receive and file council information package. Do we have any items, Madam Clerk, to bring forward for consideration?
Do not.
Thank you. There being nothing, we'll move on to item number 11, the recommendations from standing committees. And we're now considering the following items: Committee of the Whole minutes of March the 1st, 2021. Do members have any comments? I see none. I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell and seconded by Councillor McPherson that council approve the following recommendations from standing Committee of the Whole minutes of March 1st, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Thank you. Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Support.
and that carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're at item number 12, notice of motion, and we're now considering item 12.1 under notice of motion brought forward by from Councillor McPherson. This is an introductory notice of motion regarding downtown Vineland redevelopment and will be considered at the next scheduled council meeting. Councillor McPherson, would you like to provide introductory remarks with respect to this item?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as the mayor pointed out, this is a traditional, if you will, notice of motion that will follow the process as laid out in our procedural bylaw, that we will table the motion tonight and have discussion around the motion, and there will be no voting this evening, that we will have time to digest and ask any questions of staff between now and the time that does come back to council, I believe on the 29th of March. So if I may read the motion, is that
Yes, go ahead.
what we'd like to do? So, okay, the notice of motion, the introduction date should read March 8th, 2021, subject being the downtown Vineland redevelopment. The consideration date will be March 29th, 2021, requested by myself, seconded by Councillor Mike Miklick. Whereas creating vibrant downtowns is a key priority for this term of council, and whereas council adopted a priorities strategic plan to create a Lincoln that is a welcoming community through improved social and economic inclusion identified in the need for investment in our downtowns. And whereas the municipality has received numerous comments and concerns from the residents of Ward 3 and 4 regarding the state of downtown Vineland, and whereas the regional municipality of Niagara is currently undertaking a detailed design for the development of King Street in Vineland, currently scheduled to be started in 2023. And whereas opportunities to redevelop and expand the downtown of King Street area to accommodate private sector investment with vibrant commercial and residential development is desired. And whereas the official plan identifies the Vineland Central Business District as a location where a diverse mix of commercial, residential, cultural, and social uses to enhance business and commercial activities in the town exists. And whereas an urban design vision and master plan is a specific tool to establish a guiding vision for the anticipated growth and intensification of the Central Business District. As such, the Central Business District requires long-term strategic plans to not only accommodate growth and a range of land uses, but also to develop a cohesive and attractive streetscape identity that welcomes visitors and appeals to local residents. As such, it has the potential to become a complete street where a greater mix of uses and intensification can be accommodated along this significant corridor. Therefore, be it resolved that staff report back for the April 12th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting, and that date is flexible and can be up for discussion. Commitment of the whole meeting, the steps necessary to move forward with an urban design vision and master plan for downtown Vineland area. Therefore, be it further resolved that staff include the process the urban design vision and master plan will take and associated timelines. And Madam Mayor, if I may, just a couple of other comments that I would have is that, I feel the timing for this project is now when looking at what's coming at us from a complete redesign of King Street from Vinehaven Trail to 23rd Street by the region of Niagara, which is 2 short years away.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson.
And I would just add that I would expect that we will be engaging, if we decide to move ahead, we'll be engaging our residents, the downtown businesses and landlords, as well as the Niagara region in this process. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And I want to share with Council as well that you can expect really a plethora of information that's going to be available. These processes for the central business districts have been on the books for about 14 years, and a variety of planning engagements have been made. We have a part plan for Ontario Street in Beamsville. Of course, we were all happy to support and cheer on the end product with the Jordan Village. And so we're coming along and moving our way out to the west. So that we can expect to hear some very interesting reports that will be coming from staff, as this is part of the work plan, as Councillor McPherson has pointed out. Now, according to the rules, and Madam Clerk and I talked about this earlier, I cannot allow any further commentary on this. This was an introduction of the motion, and there is no vote, and so we'll move on at this time. Thank you very much, Councillor McPherson. We're at item number 13, reports of municipal officers, and we're now considering the mayor's report. And I welcome everyone who's watching this evening from our community and others, and those of you that may pick this up as the weeks go on. I want to comment this evening on a few things. First and foremost, getting to normal, remaining positive and hopeful, which is really quite a challenge some days. We're starting to enter the sunny weather. The sun comes up a little bit earlier. You feel much better about bouncing out of bed. And with that, the usual changes that are going to occur this time of year. Some of the buds are starting to plump up, and it makes you feel very positive about the place that you live in. We're going to be springing forward our clocks this weekend, and people are going to start working outside in their gardens. And we heard earlier that Councillor Mikulik might even open his pool this weekend. But of course, all of this is done around COVID limitations, and that is the shadow that is over us. We're also going to see a full season of the skate park and bike pump. I think the kids will be out there as soon as they possibly can. Just needs to warm up a bit more. That ought to be a Wednesday or Thursday. The opening of the new museum and cultural programs, we're looking forward to that in the spring. And the Lincoln Library, of course, is always very energetic and creative when it comes to their reading programs. We have many programs that are planned for families and youth that take COVID into account, but still generate hope and fun and good health for to keep our families going and take some of that burden off of parents who have to be so creative every day to keep their kids feeling the place that they live. And I want to also speak to change and maintaining that positive outlook. It isn't really an equal opportunity situation, but I want to remind you that you can all do plenty in your own small circle, your own backyard, so to speak, and in your community as a whole and in your neighborhood. It can occur whether you're just in the garden planting vegetables or flowers, whether you're searching out sources of local food, which has really become a major issue within the farming community, whether you're planting indigenous trees and shrubs to not only generate a better food source for birds and small animals, but also creating a more sustainable natural environment. And there's a great deal of learning that can take place around this, and that always tends to make people feel very productive. It's an opportunity for us to learn more about our local watershed and how we can protect it. And filling our gardens and meadows with butterfly-loving plants, increasing the bee population and the local honey. These are all ways you can bring self-love and self-joy to your family and your immediate surrounds. And I also want to talk to you about engaging in community growth and the health of individuals of all ages. And this means things like seeking solutions to housing for all, continuing to develop the elements of a healthy community that include transportation, community connections, and active transportation, as well as our vibrant parks and park amenities for all ages. Maintaining and reinforcing the intent of all of council to see Lincoln evolve as one town, an attitude that has prevailed for many years, and it is now being seen and is evolving with many major urban design initiatives in Beamsville and Jordan, the Prudence development, and now as we focus on the village of Vineland. Even in spite of COVID limitations and challenges, the lockdowns and our inability to socialize as we normally would, Lincoln continues to support everyone to survive and thrive. Local jobs are beginning to return to normal. The business enterprises are expanding. They're pivoting to greater diversity and taking the less than ideal limits and movements and creating many new forms of access to goods and services. It's quite remarkable the extent to which many of our businesses are going to keep going. We have no choice as a community but to remain positive and hopeful and to be future ready as we return to normal, limiting our activities but remaining committed to the shop local movement, continuing to wear masks and frequent hand sanitizing, exercising strict vigilance on social distancing, and avoiding altogether any group parties outside the limits of provincial and local public health guidelines. If we do not attend to this, we will be faced with having to go backwards. We are the absolute engineers of our communities, remaining open and slowly but surely strengthening our collective personal health through compliance to the basics, as well as the health of our local economy. A new season is upon us. It still remains that we have a great deal to be hopeful for and for the continued choices that are still available to us. Remember, above all else, you live in Lincoln, where every neighbor attends as a good neighbor, where children are encouraged to do their very best, and where we come together and move our community forward, sometimes with a bit of hesitation. But I believe that at this moment, as we have we have 2 new seasons coming upon us, that we're going to get this right. And I encourage everyone to continue to engage. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite, I'm sorry, I have a motion moved by Councillor Benchima and seconded by Councillor Reimer. The council receive and file as information the mayor's report on March 8th, 2021. Madam Clerk, if you would call the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Counselor Miklick,
Yes.
Counselor Pachariva,
Yes.
Counselor Reimer,
Yes.
Counselor Regima,
Yes.
Counselor Russell,
Yes.
Counselor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Houston. Mayor Houston,
Support.
thank you.
And councillors, we're now considering the presence of Councillor Rob Foster, our regional councillor. Rob, please go ahead. We received a copy of your report earlier.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Easton. A presence. I sound like I'm a ghost or something in the background, and I'm not actually. So what I sent through to you guys is my report this time around. There was some questions back a while ago about road capital items. I wanted to make sure that I got that into your hands, so you'd be able to go through and review that. I've asked staff at Niagara Region to provide also a detailed report on what they're doing on the operational side as opposed to the capital. So as soon as I get that, I will also send that over to you as well. And what I mean by that, I'm sure Mr. Graham knows this one as well. The region behaves a little differently with operations sometimes than the capital projects. We might consider in the town of Lincoln putting in a light at one of our cross streets, a capital item, just simply because the value is fairly high, compared to our capital budget. At Niagara Region, most of these things come out of operations instead. It's a line item within the operational budget. So as I say, as I find out what they're looking at with a bunch of those items, including the Vision Zero items that are coming along, I will make sure that I get those to you as I know them. I just wanted to make a very brief comment on vaccinations, and Mary Easton and I participated in a public health meeting on Friday. I think it's fair to say that there's some relatively positive news that's coming out. I mean, all of us would like to have had vaccinations in place, 6 months ago, but the issue now is that things are starting to come out. We're starting to see quantities coming into Niagara. There's a process starting as of March the 15th with 80 plus getting their vaccinations. There's, I would say out of this, they're expecting that the process is going to be faster than some of the earlier timelines that had been put in. And of course, all of us go and look at the notes that are coming through and try and figure out, okay, when are we going to be eligible? At one time, I had figured for Sue and I, we would be eligible the beginning of July for vaccinations. The expectation now is that people over 50 should be done by sometime in May. So the reality of that, and by the way, I'm over 60, so I know you guys are all going to say I look a lot younger than that, but the thing is that the time should be somewhat shortened up, and I think that's very positive for all of us. The announcement is that the Lincoln Community Center, of course, is going to be where vaccinations are given within the town of Lincoln. Mary Easton and I are both looking at the timeframes that are going on with that. We are going to be making some recommendations that we would like to see a few more days in the 3-week cycle for vaccinations in Lincoln, but we're very pleased as to what it is that we're seeing so far and working hand in hand with our people at Niagara Region. So the other thing I wanted to say, and I heard the ward meeting that the councillors are doing in Ward 3 tomorrow night, which I'm hoping that I'm going to get to. I have, along with Councillor Woodavine and Councillor Furtick, we are doing a West Niagara Town Hall on April the 7th. It's going to be from 12:30 to 1:30. We're working in conjunction with the Chambers of Commerce again. The theme of that is going to be restarting West Niagara. The intention is to have and Mr. Deanne from the town of Lincoln, the Economic Development Officer from Niagara Region as well, Mr. Spezza, and as well those that are responsible out of Grimsby and West Lincoln as well. We're going to be doing a brief presentation, and then we're going to be opening it up for discussion on what people are looking for as we start moving into a much more open environment within Niagara and some of the things that people are looking for. So with that, Madam Mayor, that is my report for this evening.
Thank you very much, Councillor Foster. And are there any comments? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik and seconded by Councillor Timmers that Council receive and file as information Regional Councillor Foster's update on March the 8th, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and that carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Thanks very much, Rob.
Thank you.
And we have no confidential items this evening, councillors. We move on then to item number 15, which is the motion to approve bylaws. We have 6 bylaws for consideration today. Is there anyone who wants to lift any of the bylaws for discussion?
Madam Mayor, I just want to make sure that Councillor Reimer has declared interest on bylaw 2021-16 and bylaw 2021-17. Wondering if we could vote on those, divide those out with the bylaws, and then we can vote on the remainder if that's okay.
Okay, so we have number 16 and we have number 17. Item 2021-16 is a bylaw to raise money to aid in the construction of drainage works under the Tile Drainage Act. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. And I will need a mover for that, please. Councillor Rajima, thank you. And I will need a seconder. Councillor McPherson, thank you. Okay, and I'll call the vote. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and Councillor Reimer has refrained from voting due to his earlier declared interest, and that carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And we're looking at 2021-17, a bylaw imposing special annual drainage rates upon land in respect of which money is borrowed under the Tile Drainage Act. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. I'll need a councillor to move that. Councillor Pachariva, thank you. And a seconder. Councillor Timmers, thanks. And I'll call the vote. Councillor Brunei?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Mikulik?
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva?
Yes.
Councillor Rajima?
Yes.
Councillor Russell?
Yes.
Councillor Timmers?
Yes.
Mayor Easton?
Yes.
And Councillor Reimer has refrained voting due to declared interest. Thank you. That carries.
All right, and we'll move on then, and the grouping then is bylaw 2021-18, bylaw to provide for the appointment of a deputy clerk for the town of Lincoln. 2021-19, bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-99, being a bylaw to authorize the civil marriage solemnization service in the corporation of the town of Lincoln. 2021-20 Z557, bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 93-14-Z1, as amended of the Town of Lincoln 2772494 Ontario Inc.
I have my hand up.
And 2021-21, a bylaw to establish a committee of adjustment for the Town of Lincoln, to describe the procedures for governing the calling place and proceeding of committee meetings, and to repeal all previous bylaws. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Councillor Miklick, you have your hand up.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to the clerk. I was hoping to lift actually bylaw 15.6, if possible. There's a question I have with regards to it.
I'm sorry, what number is that again, Councillor?
2021-21, the bylaw to establish committee of adjustment.
All right.
0.6.
So we're going to vote on 2021-18-19-20Z557. Madam Clerk, if you would call the vote on those three.
Thanks, and that's moved by Councillor Miklick, seconded by Councillor Brunet. Councillor Brunet,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and that carries.
We're now looking at 2021-21. And Councillor Miklick, you wish to speak to this bylaw. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Through you to, I believe, the clerk or planning. When I was reading the procedures regarding a meeting, and I'm not sure if they're similar to the meetings that we have ourselves, is there time limits as to presenters, whether they have 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Does the chair limit that? Just with regards to presentation lengths and that sort of thing?
Okay, it is part of the procedural bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you clarify for our members?
For meetings of council and standing committees, we have in our procedural bylaw delegations. It's outlined in our procedural bylaw that they have 5 minutes. Presenters have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just confirming that was also for committee meetings as well. Thank you.
So for hearings, technically their limitations are, I believe it's 5 minutes, but it's also a motion that they can pass at committee if they wish to go longer. So we've done that in the past for certain delegations or certain presenters. So it would be up to the committee. Are you speaking in terms of committee of adjustment specifically?
Specifically, yeah. That's the motion that we're talking about. Like, it's just determining when presenters, whether they have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, half an hour, and whether or not the chairs are cognizant of that or recognize that and insist on that, or if they have to have, if the chair calls a vote to extend that presentation or that discussion. That's what I'm just confirming.
I don't manage the committee of adjustment meetings. Perhaps maybe Matt Bruder has some insight into that, but I can only speak to council and standing committees.
All right, Councillor Miklick, I understand the clarification that you're looking for, and we can certainly, through the CAO and Mr. Bruder, ensure that any existing standards are that the Committee of Adjustment is at least familiar with them, so that there's consistency. Does that help you?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, we'll vote on this motion. Madam Clerk, if you would call the vote.
Thanks. I have it moved by Councillor Miklick, seconded by Councillor Brunet. Councillor Brunet?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Miklick?
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva?
Yes.
Councillor Reimer?
Yes.
Councillor Rajima?
Yes.
Councillor Russell?
Yes.
Councillor Timmers?
Yes.
And Mayor Easton, that carries.
Councillors, we will now confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Brunei that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2021-22, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of special council at its meeting held Monday, March 8, 2021, being read a first, second, and third time. That bylaw number 2021-22 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councillor Brunei,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miklick,
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva,
Yes.
Councillor Reimer,
Yes.
Councillor Rajima,
Yes.
Councillor Russell,
Yes.
Councillor Timmers,
Yes.
Mayor Easton,
Yes.
and that carries.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik and seconded by Councillor Rajima that the special council meeting on March 8, 2021 be adjourned at 19:07 hours.
No, Madam Mayor, we have a question. We're at committee, any kind of committee comments. So, and I understand that Councillor Pachariva has his hand up.
Well, I want you to know, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Councillor Pachariva, I was looking for a great cheer from your end of the screen because we were going to be finished early.
Yeah,
However,
but I'd be remiss, Madam Mayor, if I didn't say, today is International Women's Day, and I would like to personally thank all of our female staff members at the town of Lincoln, and a special thank you to you, Your Worship, Councillor Rajima and Councillor Timmers. I learn something new from my colleagues every day. Learn to be a better person, learn to be more tolerant, not only from the ladies around the horseshoe and the staff, but also the females on our committees, our standing committees. And we're kind of special here in the town is that we're ahead of the curve. We've got 30% representation around the horseshoe, and we should be proud of that fact. And you know what? Every day should be International Women's Day. So thank you. And thanks again for your yeoman's work tonight. And I bought a new desk chair to ensure a 7-hour meeting. So
thank you very much, Councillor. Very gracious of you. And thank you very much. It's everybody's working together here. And you're right, we are 30% represented, and we are proud of it. And also within our senior management team as well. So very good. All right, then I'm just looking, I better check again. I don't see anybody else with their hand up. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Brunei that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2021-22, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of special council at its meeting held Monday, March 8, 2021, being read a first, second, and third time, and that bylaw number 2021-22 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've already done that motion. We're now at adjournment. So we have a motion moved by Councillor Miklick and seconded by Councillor Rajima. And if you want to I can finish off that motion if you like.
Please do that.
Okay, that the special council meeting on March 8th, 2021 be adjourned at 7:09 p.m. And I'll call the vote. Councillor Brunei?
Yes.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes.
Councillor Miklick?
Yes.
Councillor Pachariva?
yes.
Councillor Reimer?
Yes.
Councillor Rajima?
Yes.
Councillor Russell?
Yes.
Councillor Timmers?
Yes.
Mayor Easton?
Yes.
And that carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk and staff. And that this concludes our special council meeting. Drive safely, everyone.
Good night, everyone.